Hare Krishna. Welcome to our Sunday feast, Sunday festival. Thank you for the kirtan. Now we're going to have a lecture, and today we have a very special guest. We have His Grace Hari Prashad Prabhu. Let us welcome him. Hari Bol. Hari Prashad Prabhu, he came all the way from India with his family, his wife and son. Welcome also to you. And Hari Prashad Prabhu, he's a very learned devotee. He grew up in India in a very traditional background and has also learned Sanskrit in young age. And he's serving in ISKCON in a Shastric advisory team, meaning a group of devotees which try to give a proper Shastric understanding. And today he will speak about the topic Bhakti-yoga, why and how. Yes. Maybe before we start, versteht jemand kein Englisch? Everybody understands English, very good. Then we will not have any difficulties with the language. So Prabhu will chant first some kirtan. We will not chant Jai Radha Madhava today. Just some Hare Krishna Maha Mantra for those of you. You've been singing now, otherwise here is the text. It's quite simple, straightforward. Thank you, Prabhu, for coming.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Somebody on kirtans. Hare Krishna. Thank you everyone for kindly coming here today. It's a wonderful Sunday evening program, and I'm very thankful all of you are present here as the audience today. Between the speaker and the audience is more important, because if on a particular day the speaker doesn't arrive, then somebody else will be selected as the speaker. But if the audience doesn't arrive, then there will be no program. So all of you are present here today as the audience. Thank you so much. We'll begin with a short kirtan. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jai Gurudev. Shri Shri Guru Nitai Gaur Premanande, Srila Prabhupada ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki Jai. Hare Krishna. So, yeah, sure. Hare Krishna. Thank you once again everyone for kindly being present here today, and I am very grateful to each and every one of you who has kindly come here. It's important to express sincere thanks to everyone in the audience, because today is the age where most people want to be speakers. It's the age of YouTube, and everyone can have their own channel for free and speak out. So the audience has to be appreciated. So I'm very thankful to each and every one of you who are kindly sitting in the audience. Thank you for giving the most valuable resource of your life. See, there are two resources that everyone has in their lives. One is time, and the second is money. So somebody who has a lot of money loses out on time, and somebody who has a lot of time loses out on money. But between these two resources, there is one resource which is not renewable. That is time. And you are giving me some quality time of your life, that too on a Sunday. Thank you so much for kindly being here. Today I'd like to speak something on Bhakti-yoga, why and how. So this is today's topic. I'd like to thank Damodar Prashad Prabhu for kindly inviting me here so that I can speak something. And in our Krishna Bhakti, or what we call Krishna consciousness movement, we practice something known as Bhakti-yoga. Bhakti-yoga is one of the yogas which has been defined in the ancient Vedic texts such as Bhagavad Gita. So Bhakti-yoga is a pathway to attain the absolute perfection of the human form of life. But before we attain the absolute perfection, we need to know what is the absolute perfection to be attained. So it is important to understand what is the highest thing that can be attained by every human being in his or her life. So I would like to ask a question. All of us living entities in human bodies, we are looking for something in our life. There is something which each and every one is hankering for. So what is the name of that particular thing that each and every one of us is hankering for ultimately in life? Would anybody like to give an answer? Yes.
Love.
Love. Okay. So love is a
Happiness.
happiness. Very nice. Your name?
Rahul.
Rahul. And your name? Vishakha Priya. So Vishakha Priya said love. Rahul Prabhu said happiness. All right. We would like to refine the answer a little bit more. Happiness is good. We all want happiness. But there is a specific technical term for it. Happiness is a very nice term. We are all looking for happiness. But the ancient scriptures give it a technical name. Does anybody know what is the name of the substance that we all are looking for and hankering for? Ananda. Sukha. Okay. The one thing which we are hankering for has been named in the scriptures. Please repeat after me. Ras. Rasa is something which we are all hankering for. Now, does anybody know what is the meaning of rasa? Juice. Yes, very nice. Mataji, you said juice. Who said juice? Somebody said? I heard juice. Yes, rasa means juice actually. So after the program, sometimes there is juice. Yeah. But rasa has a very technical meaning. Rasa is actually a liquid form of happiness which flows in the heart. That is how it can be best defined. So that is what each and every one of us is looking for. Happiness in its purest distilled form that can be experienced by the living entity is known as rasa. Because rasa has been defined as a flowing liquid. Happiness has been defined as a flowing liquid in the ancient scriptures. And that is what is called as rasa. So this rasa or this happiness is something which we are looking for. And this rasa or happiness comes in various flavors. Sometimes sadness is happiness, believe it or not. Rahul Prabhu, do you agree? No, he doesn't agree. Sadness is happiness. Let me prove it by an example. All right? So Rahul Prabhu, where are you originally from?
Basically from India, Rajasthan.
India, Rajasthan. So you are from India. All right. So in India there is an industry which produces movies. All right? And you might have heard about it. And every year millions of songs are churned out. Right? Those songs can be divided broadly into two categories. Songs of union and songs of separation. So Rahul Prabhu, is separation joyous or painful?
Sometimes joyous.
Sometimes joyous. Oh, really?
Songs are what you separate. The songs.
Yeah. So which songs are appreciated more? The songs of separation or the songs of union?
Depends on what you're going to
Yeah. In general, do people appreciate sad songs more or happy songs more? Happy songs? Okay. And there is a good audience also for sad songs. Yes. But sad songs are supposed to make you sad. Then why do people appreciate sad songs? Because there is a substance called as rasa, which is enjoyed even in sadness. When I was in Brooklyn, so it was, most of the times it was, raining, drizzling, and the people were always, depressed. So I said that, melancholy is the rasa of Brooklyn. Melancholy is the prominent rasa of Brooklyn, because that is how, most people, they they like to live. So rasa is something which gives you happiness. Sometimes it can be sadness, but something which flows within your heart and gives you what you are longing for. That is what is rasa. In the ancient scriptures, rasa has been defined as a complex combination of various emotions. Now I will explain with an example. Please, all of you here. All of you here have had a pizza. Alright, a pizza is made out of various ingredients. What is the most basic ingredient of a pizza? The base. Alright. Without a base, a pizza can't be called a pizza. So for making a pizza, you need a base. Now, the base itself is not a pizza. On top of the base, you need to have some additional toppings. You need to have the sauce. You need to have some additional toppings and cheese. But the final flavor, which is a combination of the base, the toppings, etc., is what you would call rasa. It's a flavor which is distinct from each of the individual components. If I give you the base separately, if I give you the topping separately, and Rahul Prabhu, I tell you, just eat all of them separately. Does it give you the same joy? No. But when all of them are combined and then it is baked at a certain temperature, then at that point of time, it gives a unique flavor which is distinct from the flavor of all of them individually. That is what you call, it's an analogy to explain what is rasa. So rasa is, there are many emotions in the heart, but at the proper time, at the proper place, in the proper circumstance, when all these emotions combine together to give a unique and distinct flavor of joy in the heart, that is what is called as rasa. Now, each and every one of us in this world is looking for that. Some of us are looking for happiness in happy things. Some of us are looking for happiness in sad things. But each and every one of us is looking for that rasa. But it is very difficult to find rasa in this particular world, because once we have extracted rasa from a particular thing, it becomes difficult to extract rasa from that thing again and again and again. Just like a new relationship. When two people fall in love, the relationship is very new. The rasa comes out like, the sugar cane which is going through the machine for the first time. And then after a few months, it's the same sugar cane going through the machine. So it becomes difficult with each repetition to find rasa in that same relationship. And basically, what rasa is, what happiness is it is two things. First, it is newness. Happiness basically is newness, and happiness is astonishment, chamatkar. I have not experienced this before. I am experiencing it for the first time. So a combination of astonishment and newness is what rasa is in this world. But every time we try to extract it from the same object, it becomes more and more difficult to find that rasa in this world. Therefore, we need to find a source of rasa which is permanent, everlasting, ever renewing, and it will always generate the same quantity of rasa that we need. If all of us were able to find such a source of unending happiness which constantly renews itself, wouldn't we want to, dedicate ourselves to find such a resource in our lives? Yes or no? Yes. So it's important to find such a resource in our lives, to find such a place where we can have unlimited rasa of our choice, when we want and as we want. And this can be found only with one person. This rasa is stored only with one personality, who is the personification of all the rasas or all varieties of joy. That personality is known as Akhila Rasamrita Murti, or the personification of all rasas in this world, that is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Supreme Lord, Shri Krishna. Shri Krishna is the fountainhead of all the rasas or all varieties of joy in this world. From him, all other sources of joy exist in this world. But he is the original source of joy. The Supreme Lord who knows exactly what you want at this point of time, because he is seated within the heart. So Rahul Prabhu, if somebody were to know what is going on in your heart exactly at this moment of time, and they were able to converse with you, deal with you in a way that you most desire, would you want to be with such a person? Yes, 100%. They will give the perfect answers to every statement that you are making. They will interact with you perfectly. And no statement will be without meaning. You will never feel bored. And in every statement, in every interaction, in every move, in every word, you will feel as if this person has truly understood me. Would you like to have such a relationship? Yes, we all would like to have. Therefore, it's important to cultivate that relationship with the Supreme Lord in our hearts, so that we can finally touch that substance known as unlimited rasa. The Supreme Lord is defined as rasa. He is himself rasa. The scriptures say raso vai saha, which means he himself is made out of rasa. He is an unlimited source of rasa. Rasam hi eva labdhva anandi bhavati. Only on attaining him does a person truly become joyful in this world. Other than him, no matter what we do in our lives, we will not be able to extract rasa from this world. No matter what we are able to achieve in our lives. Truly speaking, happiness is rasa. There are many people who equate happiness with material prosperity. But those people who are materially prosperous, at the end of the day, in order to become happy, sometimes they have to watch television, sometimes they have to watch YouTube, because by watching television and YouTube, some rasa is generated in the heart. And after the rasa is generated in the heart, then they become happy. So happiness is not really about how many comforts we have. Happiness is about the art of being able to produce rasa within the heart. Some people may be living a very simple life in the villages, very simple life, but they may have the ability to generate rasa within their hearts. And some people may be living a very wealthy and affluent life in the cities, but because they don't have the capability of experiencing rasa, therefore they might be seen as very sad. So therefore it is important for all of us to learn how to experience rasa. Because if we are able to experience that, then we have attained the true potential of the human form of life. Bhakti-yoga is the method by which rasa is experienced. Dear devotees, what is Bhakti-yoga? Bhakti-yoga is the process of connecting with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna, so that we can experience rasa in connection with him. What is Bhakti Yoga? Very simple. Trying to establish a relationship with Shri Krishna and trying to do activities which are favorable to him, which please him. Trying to render service to Shri Krishna is known as Bhakti Yoga. This yoga is the easiest process of attaining perfection in today's life. In the Bhagavad Gita, there are many yogas defined, many yogas. But all of these yogas require a very high degree of qualification. Let me specify a few yogas that are defined in the Bhagavad Gita. The first yoga that is defined in the Bhagavad Gita is known as Karma Yoga. How many of us have heard about Karma Yoga? Yes? So, can anybody tell me, Rahul Prabhu, you have heard about Karma Yoga? Yes. Can you tell me what is Karma Yoga?
Karma yoga is like you have to be responsible enough for everything.
Okay. So Karma Yoga means you have to act responsibly. Okay. Anybody else would like to say what is karma yoga? Yes?
Collecting more good karma and leave the bad karma.
Oh, very nice. Collecting more good karma and leaving out the bad karma. Okay. Anybody else? Yeah?
Science of proper action.
Science of proper action. Wonderful. So what is karma yoga? Very simple. Any activity that we perform in our day-to-day life, offering the activity and the result of the activity to the Supreme Lord is karma yoga. What you said, the method of performing activities properly. So all our activities and the result of those activities are supposed to be offered to the Supreme Lord. In that way, no negative karma is generated and we gain only positive. This is known as karma yoga, but very difficult. How many of us will be able to offer each and every activity at each and every step in our lives to the Supreme Lord? Is it easily possible? No. There are many activities that we are performing, right from blinking our eyes to breathing, to so many activities. It becomes difficult to offer each and every activity to the Supreme Lord. Secondly, these activities, sometimes we may perform activities that are not so wholesome. There are some activities which are not so good, because some people, they might have a lower nature, and in these lower nature they might act in certain ways which may not be fit for offering to the Supreme Lord. Thus it becomes very difficult to execute karma yoga in this age. The second type of yoga is known as Jnana yoga. How many of us have heard about Jnana yoga? Yes. Can anybody tell me what is Jnana yoga? Wisdom. Very nice.
To understand the Supreme by philosophical speculation.
To understand the Supreme by philosophical speculation. All right. So, dear devotees, please hear what is Jnana yoga. He is very correct. To understand the Supreme by means of philosophical speculation. Jnana yoga means understanding that the absolute truth is everywhere around us. In Jnana yoga, the absolute truth has a name. What is the name? Brahman. Have you heard of Brahma? What is Brahma? Brahma is a substance which cannot be defined in words. It becomes very difficult to define Brahman in words, because those who are following the path of Jnana yoga, they have to first define what is Brahman. The absolute truth is Brahman. What is Brahman? It cannot be defined in words. Why? It is everywhere. It is within you, it is within me, it is between both of us, it is within all of us. Sarvam khalvidam Brahma. The literature scriptures say, verily everything is Brahman. A fish in water doesn't understand what water is. What is the reason? Because there is water all around it. Water inside it, water outside it. Its own body is made out of water. Similarly, it becomes very difficult to understand what is Brahman through philosophical speculation. Why? Because Brahman is everywhere. It doesn't have a specific form. It doesn't have a specific shape. And to understand something which is so formless and shapeless, it becomes almost like an impossible exercise. Previously, therefore, those who were walking on the path of Jnana yoga, those people had to give up all other occupations in order to follow this path. The original Jnana yogi in recent times was Sri Adi Shankaracharya. Some of us might have heard his name. Adi Shankaracharya is a Jnana yogi. He was propagating the path of Jnana yoga. None of his disciples are married. None of his disciples were married. All of his disciples were full-time monks, because he understood that in order to follow this path, you have to dedicate yourselves fully to the path. You can't do it part-time. It's a very difficult path to follow. To realize something which is formless, shapeless, which doesn't speak, which doesn't, you cannot feel it, you cannot touch it, you cannot hear it, you cannot taste it, it's just there. But you have to realize it. That is what Brahma is. but very difficult. Then comes the third type of yoga, which is described in the Bhagavad Gita, Ashtanga Yoga. How many of us have heard about Ashtanga Yoga? Yes, it's very popular. Patanjali, 2000 years after he left this world, he has left an impression on the world which is forever, permanent impression on the world. Patanjali is the Acharya, the original personality who propagated Ashtanga Yoga. And long after he has left this world, his followers are in millions today who are practicing Ashtanga Yoga. But Ashtanga means 8 limbs. There are 8 limbs or 8 steps of this yoga. The first 2 steps are known as Yama and Niyama. Yama and Niyama means following some rules and regulations. What are the rules and regulations? Don't speak lies. Be kind. Observe a life of celibacy. Many people are not able to follow these rules and regulations. So they invented a new type of yoga. It's called Hatha Yoga. How many of us have heard about Hatha Yoga? Yes? What is the meaning of Hatha? Hatha means forcible. Forcible means if you can't follow the first 2 steps so easily, forcibly jump to the 3rd step. What is the 3rd step in Ashtanga Yoga? Asana. Asana. Direct exercises. So forget about rules and regulations right now. They will come automatically. You just directly start with the 3rd step, asana. So today in the world, Ashtanga Yoga has become equivalent to asana. Today, when you enroll in any Ashtanga Yoga program, they don't teach you initially that you have to be kind, observe celibacy. Most programs won't teach you that. Most programs on day 1 will teach you directly the 3rd step. What is the 3rd step? Asana. Start directly with the bodily postures. That is what is called as Hatha Yoga. Actually, it is not Ashtanga Yoga, it is known as Hatha Yoga. So Hatha Yoga is what is propagated today in most parts of the world. But all the traditional authorities of Hatha Yoga, they say that in order to practice Hatha Yoga, you have to go to a quiet place. You can't stay in a city. You have to build your own hut. And you cannot stay in the society in general in order to practice Hatha Yoga. You have to practice Hatha Yoga for hours and hours on end in a secluded place. It is not possible, dear devotees, in front of a television. It's not possible. In front of a television, it gives very little benefit. The little benefit that we get is we have bodily health. But bodily health is not even 1% of the result that Hatha Yoga promises. Ultimately, Hatha Yoga promises liberation and experience of rasa. That is what we were here for. We wanted to experience one substance. Which substance is that? Rasa. But Hatha Yoga promises that after liberation. But it is very difficult and it is not for those who are householders. Those who are married, I am very sorry, the ancient authorities say that it is not for you. I am also married, so it's not for me also. So I am not eligible for Jnana Yoga due to being married. I am not eligible for Hatha Yoga due to being married. But I am eligible for one yoga. There is one more yoga remaining in the Bhagavad Gita. Which yoga is that? Bhakti-yoga. There is one yoga remaining. And this yoga is the happiest, most accessible form of yoga that is available in the Bhagavad Gita. This yoga is so dear to Shri Krishna, the speaker of the Bhagavad Gita, that he spoke the Bhagavad Gita to somebody who was a bhakti yogi. To whom was Bhagavad Gita spoken? Arjuna. Arjuna was following which type of yoga? Karma yoga, Jnana yoga, Ashtanga yoga or Bhakti yoga? Somebody may say Karma yoga. But Arjuna gave up Arjuna wanted to run away from the battle. So Krishna himself said in Bhagavad Gita, Bhakto si me sakha cheti. I am speaking Bhagavad Gita to you because you are my devotee. There were many people on the battlefield of Kurukshetra who were following karma yoga. Bhishma was a better karma yogi. Bhishma was the most perfect karma yogi on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. But was the Bhagavad Gita spoken to Bhishma? No. It was spoken to whom? Arjuna. Now there were many devotees in the battlefield, many who were executing bhakti yoga. But amongst all of them, Arjuna was a very special devotee, Sakha. He was a friend of Krishna. Therefore Krishna said, not only are you my devotee, you are also my dear friend. Therefore I am explaining this secret of Bhagavad Gita to you and only you. What is bhakti yoga? Very simple. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atma, Nivedanam. Very simple process. Shravanam, come to the Sunday program and hear something about Krishna. Kirtanam, after hearing, sing something about Krishna. Not only sing, glorify Krishna in any way. That is Kirtanam. Vishnu Smaranam, remember Krishna very favorably. Pada Sevanam, offer obeisances to him. Archanam, perform deity worship. Dasyam, Sakhyam, become his servant and devotee. Atma Nivedanam, and offer yourself completely to Krishna. This is Bhakti Yoga. Very simple process. It can be performed by anyone and everyone in this world. Now let me give some advantages of Bhakti Yoga which are not present in other forms of yoga. Because some of us may be having strong convictions about other forms of yoga. It's important to highlight the importance of Bhakti Yoga. Now I will highlight the importance of Bhakti Yoga by giving a few examples. First example. Bhakti Yoga is the only tradition that has been present in all human societies around the world. I am making a big claim. Okay? Bhakti Yoga is the only tradition which has been present in all human societies around the world. Let me give an example. Here in Switzerland, which is the most prominent religion that people follow? Christianity. Okay, your name? Mathura Kishore Prabhu. So Mathura Kishore Prabhu, Christianity is the most prominent religion which is followed. In Christianity, do we see anything about Ashtanga Yoga? No. Do we see anything about the impersonal Brahman and Jnana Yoga? In Christianity, do we see about surrender, devotion to God? Yes. So even in Christianity, there are elements of one yoga present. Which yoga? Bhakti Yoga. So Bhakti Yoga is such a universal system of yoga. Its elements are present in all forms of world religions. But other forms of yoga may not be present because they don't appeal, or other forms of yoga don't appeal to the entire humanity. But Bhakti Yoga appeals to each and everybody. Now once again, Bhakti Yoga is so accessible that even insects, animals, etc. can perform it. Let me give an example. Prabhu, can an insect perform Ashtanga Yoga? No, not possible. Can a bird perform Ashtanga Yoga? No. Can a bird perform Jnana Yoga? No. The bird doesn't even know how to pronounce Brahman. Forget about realizing Brahman. Can a bird perform Bhakti Yoga? Can a bird eat prasadam? Yeah. Eating prasadam is which yoga? Bhakti Yoga. Yeah. It's very simple. You come to the Sunday feast. It's called a Sunday feast. The feast is half of the part of the name. So a bird can perform Bhakti Yoga. An insect can perform Bhakti Yoga. But they cannot perform all other forms of yoga. Amongst human beings, In all stages of life, a person can perform Bhakti Yoga. Can a person perform Bhakti Yoga within the womb of the mother? Is it possible? Yes. Because Bhakti Yoga simply means remembering the Supreme Lord. It is described in the Shastra that within the womb of the mother, a child often remembers the Supreme Lord. But at that point of time, it is not possible to perform Ashtanga Yoga or Karma Yoga or Jnana Yoga. Only one yoga is possible. When a child is newly born, can they perform other forms of yoga easily? No. But they can perform one yoga very easily. Which yoga is that? Bhakti. They can hear Krishna's names. See, I have a 7-year-old. I know it's difficult to tell him about Brahman. If I tell him what is Brahman, I can't tell him about Brahman right now. Brahman is such a complicated subject matter that he has to first be very philosophically inclined to understand what is Brahman. I can't tell him about Ashtanga Yoga right now. But I can tell him something about Bhakti Yoga. You see, most of the kids that come to the Sunday program, they dance nicely, they play on the instruments. Because Bhakti Yoga is the most accessible form of yoga for each and every one of them. Now, Bhakti Yoga can also be performed by those who are young. That's very obvious. Bhakti Yoga can be performed by those who are old. People who are old cannot easily perform Ashtanga Yoga. But they can very easily perform which yoga? Bhakti Yoga. People who are about to die, just before death, Prabhu, which form of yoga will help them at that point of time? Bhakti Yoga. People who are dead, people who died, and after death, they attained another life. Even in that next life, Bhakti Yoga is the one process of yoga which will help them. It's a very universal process that will help each and every one of us. And it's a very simple way to perform Bhakti Yoga. The simplest way of performing Bhakti Yoga is to come here and glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. In a way that you can experience rasa. Dear devotees, now enough talking about rasa. How many of us would like to experience some rasa? Yes, we would like to experience some rasa, right? So, in order to experience rasa, we have to experience it through the way of the previous devotees who have experienced it. We have to follow them. Alright? So just today I was speaking about a very great devotee. His name was Sri Ishwar Puri. Sri Ishwar Puri was a very great devotee in the Bhakti Yoga tradition. And he was walking, he was a monk basically. About 500 or 600 years ago, he was a monk in India, and he became the spiritual master of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is here on the altar. He is the spiritual master of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he was a monk and a very dedicated practitioner of Bhakti Yoga. Now, those who are following Bhakti Yoga, we have some very important places in India. One of these important places is called Vrindavan. Vrindavan is the place where Sri Krishna performed all of his sweet pastimes. So he was walking one day to Sri Vrindavan. And while he was walking to Sri Vrindavan, in those days, Vrindavan was thousands and thousands of kilometers away, thousands of miles away. So as he started walking to Sri Vrindavan, in his mind he started thinking about the sweet pastimes of Krishna. Very sweet pastimes of Krishna. One of the sweet pastimes of Krishna that he was thinking about is that Krishna never used to eat alone. If you see Krishna eating with his friends, has anybody seen a painting of Krishna eating alone? You will never find a painting of Krishna eating alone. Krishna was always eating with all of his friends. And one day, when all of his friends were gone, somebody stole all of his friends. Krishna was, he was left alone. There was a pastime in which Lord Brahma stole all of his friends. So Krishna was left alone. And Krishna realized that somebody stole all of my friends. So in his right hand was cooked rice. and Krishna had cooked rice in his right hand, and Krishna suddenly got up with the cooked rice in his hands in order to look for his friends. So in Sanskrit, cooked rice is called bhakta. What is cooked rice called? Bhakta. But bhakta is also the term for devotee. So Krishna wanted to indicate something. What did Krishna wanted to indicate? Whatever may happen, I will never let go my bhakta from my hands at any point of time. So Krishna got up and started looking for them. In this way, Ishwar Puri was meditating upon all the pastimes of Vrindavan. Gradually, Vrindavan arrived, and Sri Ishwar Puri saw the first mango tree of Sri Vrindavan. How many of us have seen a mango tree? Yes. It's very difficult to find people who have observed nature in today's world. So some of us have seen a mango tree. So when he saw the mango tree, so if I would have seen a mango tree after walking for so many days, I would have thought, let me eat a mango now. But as soon as he saw a mango tree, he became ecstatic because he was experiencing the rasa of bhakti or the rasa of devotional service within his hearts. So for everybody else it may appear as a mango tree, but for him the experience was completely different. Sri Ishwar Puri said, he saw the mango tree swaying in the wind. So he said, this mango tree is dancing in ecstasy because it is experiencing separation from Krishna. And then he saw the bumblebees were buzzing around the mango tree. So the bumblebees make a noise. He said, not only is this mango tree dancing, it is also singing in the form of the bumblebees. And then from the mango tree there were a few drops of nectar falling from the mango. And he said, not only is this mango tree dancing and singing, it is also crying tears of separation from Krishna. And then he saw there were a few sprouts on the bark of the mango tree. He said, not only is this mango tree dancing and singing and crying, it also has these goosebumps of ecstasy on his body. In this way, Ishwar Puri was meditating upon Krishna day and night. Dear devotees, this meditation upon Krishna, experiencing the sweetness, is called as experience of rasa. And anybody who can experience rasa has attained the perfection of the human form of life. Experiencing bhakti rasa, the sweetness of Shri Krishna, is the aim of the human form of life. And this is the reason why Bhakti-yoga is the easiest process for each and every one of us to attain that absolute truth of happiness, that is Shri Krishna. So I would like to pause my speech at this point of time. Thank you very much once again for kindly and patiently giving me your time. Some time we have reserved for our question and answer session. So if somebody would like to ask a question. Yeah.
What happens with the rasa once this Rasika devotee gives up his body? What happens after?
Yeah. What happens to the rasa once the devotee gives up his or her body? Since rasa is a part of it is experienced by the soul, therefore this experience of rasa is carried forward in the future body that the devotee takes. Once a devotee has experienced rasa, usually they don't have to take another body. They get a spiritual body in which the experience of rasa continues forever. So therefore this flow of rasa will never stop for a devotee who has experienced it once. In the Srimad Bhagavatam it says, Vihatum icched na rasa graho jana. Once a person has experienced rasa, there is no possibility that they will ever be able to give it up, and rasa will never be separated from them. So they will constantly keep experiencing rasa no matter where they are. So it will never be lost to them. So that is the answer to your query. Thank you. Right. Anybody else? Yep.
I'm not sure if I've understood that correctly, but for me it sounds like rasa is the as motivation. That's, and in Bhakti we kind of learn the main motivation should be to serve Krishna. So if I aim for rasa, it sounds like it's I want happiness, but actually I want happiness for, I mean, that's, do I understand that correctly?
Yeah. So in Krishna Bhakti, we are often told that we have to serve Krishna. We have to be selfless. And today's talk sounded like we have to be selfish about rasa.
Yes.
Good. So there's some things about which we should be very selfish. Rasa is one of them, because that is our exclusive attainment on the path of bhakti. One of the literatures written by Sri Rupa Goswami is Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Bhakti Rasa. This is the attainment that you will have after you attain perfection. That will be yours. So it is something which you are supposed to have with you. You are performing Bhakti-yoga so that you can get into a permanent relationship with Krishna. And after you have a relationship with Krishna, what will be the currency which you will exchange with Krishna? Rasa. So rasa is the currency which defines all the relationships that we have with the Supreme. So once you are serving, that's all right. But you are serving so that you can get into a relationship with, the aim is to become a permanent associate of Krishna. And once you become a permanent associate, what is the language that Krishna speaks? The language that Krishna speaks is rasa. He communicates with all the plants, all the animals, all the birds. In which language? In the language of rasa. So that is, it is important for us to hanker for it. So Sri Rupa Goswami, I'm giving a proof for it. Sri Rupa Goswami says, Krishna bhakti rasa bhavata matihi kriyatam yadi kutopi labhyate. If you can find anywhere a consciousness full of rasa, and if you have to pay a price for it, then pay any price that is needed, but purchase it today. But then he says there's only one price to be paid for it. What is the price? Tatra laulyam, extreme hankering for it is the only price that you can pay for it. And this extreme hankering doesn't come artificially. It has to come naturally. And that takes time. But somehow if you are able to purchase that rasa by giving the price of extreme hankering, then purchase it right now and right here. Somehow or other you must try to get it in your lives. Because once you have it, then there is no going back. There is absolutely no going back. The trees in Vrindavan are so full of rasa. When Krishna used to walk besides the trees in Vrindavan, the trees used to bend down and offer him fruits. Usually trees don't bend down and offer us fruits when we walk. We have to pluck them from the trees. We have to snatch the fruits from the trees. That's how human society works. But when Krishna used to walk besides the trees used to bend down and offer their fruits to him. So all living entities understand this language of rasa. And there is no selfishness in trying to get bhakti rasa, the rasa of devotional service. It's something which we all should be hankering for, including yourself. All right? So it is called, Prabhupada used to say, Param Swartha Gati. Param Swartha Gati means the highest selfishness for a living entity is this, that you are able to attain some rasa. Right? Thank you. Okay. Anybody else? Yeah.
But now I'm confused. What's the difference? Rasa and Amrita, which is this?
Rasa means concentrated flow of happiness. Amrita is nectar. So rasa appears like Amrita. It appears like nectar. But it appears like nectar, but nectar has only one function. What is the function of nectar? It makes you immortal. Rasa not only makes you immortal, but also gives you unending happiness. So rasa has something extra within it, besides immortality. Amrita is available with the gods. The gods have Amrita. They have drunk nectar. So they are immortal, but they are not always happy. But those who have experienced rasa are not only immortal, but they are also eternally happy. So rasa ensures immortality along with immortal happiness. Both things are ensured in rasa. Therefore, it sounds like Amrita, but it has much more than Amrita. It is much more than Amrita. So that is the difference, subtle difference between rasa and Amrita. There is some small difference. All right? Thank you.
If I could go back to the previous question.
Yeah.
It sounds like we have to expect the fruits and do the duty as well.
Yeah.
When we are looking for rasa.
You have to, at every point of time, we should be aiming for bhakti rasa. And we should also do our duties in bhakti yoga, our sadhana in bhakti yoga, but with an aim. The aim is to experience rasa. If rasa is not experienced, then it becomes very dry. Even following your daily practices becomes very dry if rasa is not there. So this rasa has to be there. And this bhakti rasa, once it is experienced, then there is no going back. Then a person becomes self-driven in bhakti yoga. There is no need for external impetus. They become self-driven. And they know what should be done in life and how Krishna should be pleased. Then that is the perfection of their life. Okay? Anybody else? Yeah, sure, please.
What is, because you named many yogas, but I heard something about Laya yoga. What is it and why?
There are Ashtanga yoga and Hatha yoga have many sub-variations. Laya yoga being one of them. So Laya yoga it's a latter variation of Hatha yoga, and therefore I named the original one, which is Ashtanga yoga, and the first variation of Ashtanga yoga is Hatha yoga. Hatha yoga is around 500 years old. It was designed 500 years ago. Ashtanga yoga is eternal. It's also spoken of in the Bhagavad Gita. Hatha yoga is a recent variation because people were not able to follow the first two limbs, rules and regulations. So there was a person named Swatmaram. He wrote the first manual on Hatha yoga. He said directly jump to the third stage, asana. Start practicing the third stage. His book, Swatmaram's book, is called Hatha Yoga Pradipika, a lamplight for illuminating the path of Hatha yoga. And in Hatha Yoga Pradipika, in the very first few verses, he says you have to find a quiet place in the forest. You have to make a cottage. A yogi should make a cottage. The land on which the yogi sits should not be very hard. Okay, it cannot be concrete. This concrete is very hard. It cannot be very soft. The land on which the yogi sits should be moderate, between hard and soft. It should be like the earth. He should sit directly in contact with the earth. In order to avoid insects, etc., he should have a mat. But that mat cannot be a mat made out of rubber. It has to be a mat made out of kusha. Kusha is a grass. So it's a kusha mat. And he defines everything that the Hatha yogi should have. And then he says, finally, on that mat, when you are seated happily, when you are alone in a forest, there is nobody to disturb you. Absolutely no cell phones, no WhatsApp, no nothing. Then you can begin Hatha yoga. So when the authorities themselves who have defined Hatha yoga have given these conditions, I am defining Hatha yoga according to the authors of Hatha yoga. I'm not adding any bias of Bhakti yoga to it. I'm just giving it as it is, as they have specified. So they themselves have said that it is, you have to be in a peaceful place, completely free of all disturbances. But Laya yoga is a variation of Hatha yoga, which is even more recent. Right. Yes.
I have two questions.
Yeah.
The first is, where can we get the kusha
Yeah.
Yeah. And the second is, can we listen to Hindu music while we do the yoga?
Okay.
Or does it have to be completely silent?
Okay. So, all kusha, see in kusha mats also, not all kusha mats are created equal. There are various types of kusha mats. So there is something called as Prachin Barhi, a kusha mat in which the roots were pointing towards the eastern direction when it was planted. That is called Prachin Barhi. That is considered to be the most potent type of kusha mat. So there was a person mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam who filled the earth with such kusha grass so that everybody could have access to such a mat. Nowadays what you get is a plastic variation of kusha grass, and plastic spoils everything. Wherever you add plastic, it takes out all the value of the yoga process. So if you want to get a kusha mat, you can only get it from somebody who is a very traditional expert, and to get it here in this place would be almost next to impossible. You might have to make it by yourselves, and I don't know if kusha grass grows in Switzerland. The kusha grass may become stunted in Switzerland due to the weather, but in India, in certain places, you might get kusha mat. You can get in Rishikesh or Varanasi, but very difficult. You have to know the characteristics of kusha mat, and there are the knots also which are tied are of different types. So there was a specific type of kusha mat I saw in my childhood, on which it was easily possible to attain asan siddhi. What is asan siddhi? Perfection of an asan. To be able to sit in the same asan for 1.5 hours is called asan siddhi. So that is a technical term for hatha yoga. So